All right, family, we are live for episode 1. So be prepared to be amazed, to be inspired, to be informed, to be uplifted and motivated. We have our priestess in the building, and this is Prolific Gateways. So without any further ado, let's turn you over to the priestess with the mostest. Yeah, OsunToyin in the building.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that introduction. But you always give me hype, so I appreciate that. But yeah, so I am basically here today. I wanted to introduce myself, my series, basically give a little sample of the energy that's spiraling around us right now, currently. I did not use any other form today, but the tarot for this one. I do, however, do different forms of readings, but that's what I'm using for this to keep it, um, within the time limits. So first, I before even going into that, even before going into the cards, I've already pulled them, but even before going into that, I wanted to introduce myself as far as how I came into this path. If I just kind of jumped up and started doing the readings during the time where it's very, very, very trendy right now. And that's fine. But I wanted to start off with that. So since I've been a little girl, since I can remember, there was a few things that inspired this. Not only was it a natural inborn gift to do readings. I wasn't somebody who tried to jump on it right away or did it because of the trend. It took me years to build up to even accepting this task in life, because for one, it's not something that you do for fun or entertainment. Some do, but you're actually tampering with people's lives, people who are looking for legit help, people who really need help, people who could be at the crossroads of death, people who that reading, that last reading that they get, or that first reading that they get may be everything to them. It may be life or death for them. You don't know if they're at their breaking point or not. So to understand that, to understand the effect that those things have on people, if you have compassion and a conscience, you're not so quick to just want to jump into something where you're responsible. And because I'm not just a reader, I'm a diviner. So there's a difference. I don't just read people and leave them, unless that's what they want, leave them with nothing to do, no task, no remedies afterwards. A diviner sees to the source of what needs to be done so that we can remedy it. And I get those messages from my ancestors, from teachings, through elders that I've learned from, mostly through my bloodline, because I've learned to develop that. That took developing for me to be able to consciously hear my ancestors. I was hearing it a while. There was things always happening. I would dream things when I was young and it would happen. I would say things and it would happen. And there's some things that I could say that you would never believe, that I have been able to say and see it happen. But I know for a fact, that the elements are strong there, and I can look back at some things now that I have a little bit more wisdom and a little bit more clarity on things that I've done in the past or seen in the past. Now it makes more sense. And when I accepted, and I say accepted this path, because like I said, I had to go through my own struggles, because even though I had those gifts and those abilities, I wasn't using them when I was a teen, when I was young, all of that, I went through a lot of things that would basically transpire later on in my life to make me circle back around to what my spiritual purpose was. So in this introduction, I'll share something real personal that kind of helped me to tap in the spirit, because I had to kind of tap out of reality a lot when I was young. So, within the family, and I'm going to get to why I'm even mentioning my family, because that's a thing in itself for some people to accept this type of lifestyle. Just know that your family is going to think that you're crazy. I was called crazy, and I'm fast forwarding and I'm going to go back again. My family told me I was crazy when I cut my hair off. It was way, way, way before this movement, this natural hair movement. It was over maybe 15, 16 years ago. And I cut it off because I had gone through a lot of spirals that I'm in the future with now. I had gone through a lot of things by my early 20s that made me start to look into myself more, to what these gifts were, to why I felt different than the people around me, why I saw things differently. I didn't submit to the fact that, oh, I'm just crazy, oh, I'm this and I'm that. I didn't let that run me. So I kept looking. As hurtful as it was, I kept looking. And so I got into reading about witchcraft, wherever I could start, because I came from a Christian background, though that information was not readily available to me. It was just something in my spirit. So I didn't have anybody I could sit down and talk to within the family. So basically, when I went through a lot of things, I go back to me cutting my hair first. That was my first step into it. So some people do it because, they want their hair healthy, this, that, and the other. I wasn't even thinking about that. I was thinking about the fact that I had read, after coming into a school of thought, I had read about how our hair spirals, and it's just like the galaxy is just like it grows up toward the tree. I mean, it's the sun, like the trees, and how it's antennas and the coils. I started thinking about where all coils are. Like, say, for example, in the refrigerator, nothing works within the wiring without coil somewhere. It's the energy conduit. So within that energy conduit, it starts life, just like in a whirlpool, different things where you'll see things spiraling. There's some type of active energy there. It's something either being created or removed. But either way, once I started reading about that with my hair, it's just like I had a moment of clarity, which some people would call snapping. And so I got up, I walked straight to the mirror, and I had to be like maybe 22 or something like that. I walked straight to the mirror in the bathroom. I grabbed the scissors and I started cutting that perm out my head. I had some new growth because I hadn't permed it in a while, so I had a little bit of new growth. So I went and I just started chopping my hair down as far as I could. And I ain't gonna lie, it might have been a crazy moment because I started cracking up. After I cut that perm out my head, I felt free. Like, I felt a freedom that I had not, freedom from, being ridiculed when I was young about if your hair swole up, how you get your hair hot combed, and if it swole up and your hair got puffy, then everybody talk about how your hair was nappy and this, that, and the other, not realizing how special our hair was the whole time, because that was not information readily available in quote unquote Black or melanated families who were taught that everything about us was wrong. So for me to chop my hair off after hearing how special it was, so that I could get to my coils, so that I could get to my new growth, was very, very, very liberating for me. So I did have a moment where I was laughing and I felt really, really free. And so because of that, that was me going on. And at that time, I was wandering around downtown Atlanta. I'm talking to these old heads that you see with all this jewelry on, this silver and this copper. I'm opening up. I'm expanding. My mind is open. I'm like wide open right now. So, my family thought I was losing my mind. They thought I was some type of hobo. I don't know what they was thinking, but at the same time, it was due to experiences, and this is where I'm going to go rewind. It was due to experiences in my own family that I didn't care what they thought. You see what I'm saying? So I had been physically, verbally, and sexually abused as a child. and I won't talk about by which sexes because it was a few things that happened, but I had experienced certain hardships that happened within the family, even by my own parents and things like that, where it didn't matter what they said. It didn't matter what they thought. So I didn't have that stigma on me because they had already in my mind let me down a lot. So all I had was my freedom, my thoughts, my individuality, and I was ready to step into that. Now that didn't mean that I was completely free, because as long as we're living, one challenge is going to arise after another. That's for sure, and that's definite. But being on a spiritual path, me accepting my calling, me tapping into who I was, and even that happened in stages. That didn't happen overnight. That didn't happen in 1 year. That took over, at this point now, over 13 years. I've been an initiated priestess of Oshun for maybe 11 years now. Yeah, maybe 11 years now. And a newly, and I don't really share that, but I'm also a yagi. I've gone through a few other types of ceremonies and things like that, even outside of those two traditions. So it has been a long path, and even within those traditions, I had to go through a lot with the people that I come encounter with, and all it was for me to establish confidence in who I came here to be. And I'm there now. You see what I'm saying? So that took a minute, and I just recently not started doing the work. I was able to give messages and things like that for years and years now. But for me to not seek validation, for me to really know what that meant, even though I was saying it, for me to know what that meant, I had to be totally free and shake free of even certain people and dogma within tradition, because people carry dogma within them. They go through one thing and they don't let up off of it. They don't allow room for growth. They don't allow room for creation. We are creators. We're here to create. We keep growing. We evolve. Yes, we have a basis, a foundation for this knowledge, even in spirituality, but you never stop growing because times continue to change. So that's a little bit of background into this. So no, I did not start being a reader because it was trendy. I've been doing this for quite a while. And I am not doing it because it's popular. I was doing it before it was popular. And at this point now, it's hard for people to establish who's real and who's fake. Within all of this going on with this movement. So all I can say is, you have to grow with people. You have to watch them, pay attention, and you'll know who's authentic. You know who's authentic by the messages that's coming out of their mouth. You know who's authentic by how something resonates with you. But in order for you to know that, you have to be authentic within yourself. There's a lot of people who's not authentic within themselves. So to answer that question, even though nobody asked, to answer that question, when you don't know who you are, you don't know what to accept. You don't know what's real and what's not. You don't know how to make that discernment because you have more developing to do within your own mind. So because of that, because our mind shapes our reality, and that's just the truth of it, you cannot accept more than what you understand, basically, or what you're willing to understand. You can hear it, but it may not click. So for people to know who's authentic or not, I would just have to say you would have to be authentic within yourself, and you would have to know what that means. But for me, I'm here to do my work. I'm here to do what my ancestors asked of me and what I agreed to do. I'm not trying to disappoint my ancestors because that has a role in my bloodline. That will continue to triple. That's a ripple effect with that. So because I understand that, it's more than just me involved. I'm carrying a load for not just my ancestors, but for my children. And that's very serious because that affects our future. It affects our present, all of that. And it's a lot to think about. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of burden. So I wouldn't tell anybody that, oh, it's not, it's a fun lifestyle, just be rich, just jump into it. No, that comes with steps, with preparation, with spiritual maturity, with mental maturity, all of that. It's not just something you can jump up and just say you mastered it overnight. Nobody can say that, because as long as we're living, we're learning something. Some of us have just accumulated enough knowledge to pass on to the next individuals who are ready to grab that knowledge. And if you want to know what type of priestess I am, those are the type of things that I do. I'm not here to convince anybody. I'm not interested in that. What I want to do is help people who have already understand that they are at the threshold where they're ready to move with their ancestors. They're ready to accept that information. They're ready to learn to coexist with nature. They're ready to understand how to hear the spirits of nature speak. You see what I'm saying? Because that's where I am. That's the realm of reality that I'm in. So it makes no sense for me to come out of that because of the development and growth that it's already taken me to go backwards, to try to convince somebody of something that I know they're not mentally able to even understand right then, or may not ever be, because maybe they didn't choose that, whatever. So I'm here for those who know that they are ready to move forward. I'm not in any way obligated to deal with any and everybody. And that's another way that you know who's real and who's phony, because there's no one fit all, one for all lifestyle. There's no one reading fits all. There's no such thing, so with understanding that a person who is a spiritualist, who protects their energy, because that's the first thing you got to do, because self-preservation is the first law of survival. Okay, I won't take any and everybody on. I can't do that. Not because I cannot help them, because some people don't want help. Some people come for different reasons. So I would never pretend to try to take everybody on because I'm trying to make a sale, because I want to grab money, because I want to take on everybody that's coming, because I want to be the best and the fastest and the most popular reader. No, I'm not for that. So who's authentic by how they move. And that's what I say to that. But so that's just kind of some of my background on how I came to this. And now there's a lot that, of course, I fast forwarded through. And I'm not going to talk about all of it just right away. But as time goes on, as you guys get to know me, you will learn a little bit more about my story. But like I said, it took hardships for me to accept my calling. And I was a stubborn one. So it's not something you just jump up and you decide you just want to do because it's fun to do. It's a lot. So with that being said, I kind of would like to, I don't know, I may want to go ahead and just read on what the energy was speaking around today. So before we got started, I've already pulled my cards. I invited my ancestors in to guide this information, my ancestors who's connected to everything in consciousness, because we are a part of consciousness. And that means everything that did exist, that will exist, and that does exist. So with that being said, that means that, some of us have the ability to access this information as long as we have the open mind to understand it. So with that being said, I'm going to go back. That determines who's authentic or not as well, because some people do have the gift, but your mind has to be open enough to receive messages, because not all ancestors or not all parts of consciousness communicate the same way. And you have to have the mindset to interpret the messages. So that's how serious it is. If you have a limited understanding, a limited even vocabulary, limited in many ways, because a lot of us are limited, okay? So, but you have to be open enough to even understand what you're hearing or what to hear. So with that being said, I want to go ahead and talk about what I did pull, and I only did a 3 card pull today because, like I said, it's kind of just like a little mini demo, but I did want to touch around the energies that's happening right now. So I didn't ask a particular question, just whatever message that spirit wanted us to hear, wanted the public to hear today. Um, and now when we go into, if anybody is, familiar with astrological card readings, we are in what is known as Ace of Clubs today, December 17th, which is the day, it's a Sagittarius day. We're in that time, in that house right now. But today in particular is talking about people who may be thinking about new goals, new projects. There's a lot of curiosity right now. People are going to be, excuse me, guys, going to be lurking on the internet. People are going to be lurking and being nosy, invading people's privacy today. Be careful of making sure your computers are clean, up to date, no viruses, because right now there's a lot of ether invasion as well, because a lot of us are in social media. We're on social media, and so because of what's coming soon, the energy says shifting next week, we're going to be having a lot of interruptions and a lot of people watching through media for their own purposes to kind of try to see where the masses are at, what the masses are thinking about. So if there's any information that you can stand to withhold today in particular, you may want to do that. It's also talking about, building websites, people working on websites. It's also talking about relationships, stalking within relationships, people having issues arising of not trusting. Today, there's a lot of questions going on right now in people's minds today. It could be within relationships. It could be within the projects we was talking about. It could be within just investigations of any type. And so basically, to outline that, what we're speaking of is new things happening and curiosity forming around those new things. So again, there could be somebody, say for example, in a relationship, somebody who's doing something new, somebody who's acting different all of a sudden in their relationship, where their partner may start to get a little nosy around today's time. They may start to, start trying to go through their things or trying to investigate, whatever. So there's many different forms that could take place in, but that's just kind of what I wanted to hit on the Ace of Clubs day. And so now with the tarot reading, what the energy was that was coming out today is basically, and I'll show you all the card. Yeah, I know I'm still learning how to adjust stuff to this camera. But what this card is talking about, what this card is saying to me, is that it's time for people to, and I'm doing this on a kind of global perspective, it's time for people to start practicing that faith that they say that they have. People talk about a lot about, whatever you call quote unquote God, and whatever you call these things, whatever you call this higher power, you see people with a lot of fear right now, which in part makes you question what they actually believe in. So people are asking me questions about, hey, do you believe in God, and this, that, and the other? God is a word it's a European word. Okay. So that word does not even exist in every culture. So that needs to be understood. Some people have actual literal names for the creator, or basically the energy in which all things exist, kind of like a calabash, because there's many things happening within that existence. As well. So there's different views to that. That's not a a question that you can just say, hey, God is this and God is that, and that's all it is. No, you know, but it's questioning people's faith. The universe is questioning people's actual faith that they say they have. You cannot possibly, you cannot possibly believe in what you say you believe in and be as fearful as people are today. There's no way. Because if you were, you would be moving differently. You would be viewing things differently. You would be seeing a message in what is happening versus being fearful. Because I wasn't even feeling good for 2.2 seconds, but my faith is stronger than that. I got more fight in me than that. And I've been taking care of myself, more taking care of my body, taking care of my mind, taking care of my spirit. So you have to take care of those things. Some people say they believe in something, but they're not actually nourishing it. They're not nourishing their spirit. They're not nourishing, nature. They're not doing anything to basically set forth good energy around themselves, to set up good energy of receiving. Because when you sow those seeds, it's not saying you do it because you're expecting something back, but you have a faith in why you did it in the first place. So therefore, you know that you're covered. You know that you're protected. You know that everything that you've been doing is going to cover you. For me personally, I know that I've been taking care of my spiritual business and is in every aspect that I could. So my faith is already on 110. So that I didn't have to worry about. But the universe is questioning people right now. And it's saying that, people need to stand up, to pick up that armor that they talk about, and to actually start to fight back. Don't let your spirit be broken right now with all that's going on. Because sure enough, it's a scientific fact if people only believe in science. But it's really not even science. It's spiritual. To know that your mind responds, your body responds to everything that your mind says to it. So if you're thinking constant fear and you're constantly, on the go, even just you're on autopilot, you're distracted all the time, when can you nourish yourself? When can you take time to take care of your body? So therefore, your immune system is going to be low. So if a sickness comes in, you can't do anything about it, because you're not up to par to fight. You have not armored yourself like you need to. So with faith comes responsibility. That's what that was talking about. And now I pulled this card as well. The number is 5 on this card. I'm not going to really get into numbers today, but those have meanings as well. But what I see when I look at this, what Spirit was saying to me, because I'm looking at different, ethnicities sitting here talking to each other. They're not yelling at each other. They are raising their hands, and it's women. It's a collective of women raising their arms up, raising their tools up, basically ready to take charge. They're ready to move forth. They're ready to fight the fight. They're ready to go forward in battle. They've sat and they've talked about it. They've compared notes. They've looked at things, and now they see what's happening universally. So now they're ready. They're ready to move forward. They're ready to set forth changes and to walk in those changes. So right now, what that's talking about universally is the feminine aspect, the divine feminine mother, whatever people want to call it, the primordial mother. We got so many different names. That energy that birth comes from itself, what birthed all things that we know, the earth and everything around us, is talking about standing up collectively. The feminine energies are basically in a uproar. We're ready to fight, to go to the next level, to be able to take a stand against us being attacked, because we are at war. People think that it was going to be guns and swords and pitchforks and people was going to be blowing stuff up. That's not this type of war. It wouldn't even been able to happen today in time. Right now, that's not what's happening. They want us to think that, but it's not. Okay, so, and we'll talk a little bit more about what type of war, but I think everybody already knows that, whatever name they give it, you can feel it. You know what type of war we in right now. It's a psychological war. It's a spiritual war. It's a that veil that I was talking about being very thin. It's a war of people picking their sides because people think being neutral is still an action. You see what I'm saying? So right now it's saying go ahead, stand for what you're gonna stand for. Go ahead and fight for it because there's going to be a division made so that things can get back into order the way that it needs to. And the feminine energies is going to be running it. This is going to turn over to a more matriarchal or maternal energy coming soon in the future. It's already switching hands. So we'll see how it pans out later on. Spirit does not lie. Um, and so the last card that I pulled, once we band together and once we decide what we believe in, what our faith is, and we kind of raise up that spiritual armor that we have, and physical and mental. Once we do that, that card was pretty cut and dry and simple. That is going to be us basically galloping into our triumph. We will be victorious in this battle coming. It's already started, and it started with the biochemical warfare. And that's been done for centuries now. People just don't know that. But this is not new. Okay? So it's talking about what I'm hearing to say to you all is to start to be more in tune with everything around you. The universe, the sun, the planets, the stars, all of this is alive. Sure as it shines every day, it's alive. The plants outside, the earth is alive. The ocean is alive. The rivers are alive. For us to walk past nature every day the way we do, to pay no reverence, to pay no respect, to pay no homage, to litter, to desecrate, to disrespect the earth that we are already standing on, you are looking for plagues to come on you. You're looking for things to happen. You don't even have respect for the environment that you're in. So what do we think is going to happen? Because it is alive and it does respond. So even in one sense, we may want to say that it's a man-made disease, and it partly is, but in part, it's also dealing with spores. And I'm going to tell you exactly what it is. It's dealing with spores. It's floating through the air, carried by the wind, things like that. But if you do what you need to do, you give your respects to nature, you pay your homages, because you cannot possibly keep taking from something which we take from the earth, we take from everything around us every day. And most of us never give back. We never give anything back because we don't think that we have to. We haven't been trained to do that. Through all of these religions, most of them don't even teach you to respect your earth because we didn't create the earth. So that should be one of the highest forms of truth that we know. We couldn't change it and we didn't invent it. All we could do was take care of it to sustain it. You see what I'm saying? And we're not sustaining it. So with that being said, we have created a counter effect against us. So we have to take responsibility in that. We can keep acting like everything is just what it is, and we keep ignoring it and going our daily lives, and we just want to go to work and we just want to make money. Well, hell, if you ain't got no earth to make money on, if you don't have life because you don't have health, because you don't have anything, you have no wealth. Wealth is generated through the hands of people, but a mindset of reciprocity for us taking care of the earth takes care of us. So that's the first thing we as people should stop and do is figure out what have we been doing worldwide and globally to cause these type of effects to happen to us. We think it's just everything else. We focus on so many things, but we never focus on the things that we supposed to coexist with. Because if the whole entire earth stopped producing, right, we couldn't grow anything from any kind of soil. The sun stopped shining. The oceans just at a continuous standstill. It doesn't move anymore. Everything is about to die. Everything on this earth is going to die. So start looking outside of ourselves. Take time to look up in the sky. Take time to look around us. Take time to give thanks to nature and all the things that have been supporting us and what we have not been supporting. So if we could look at that collectively, and it's not too much to ask, people just don't take time to do it. But now everything is at a standstill. This corona, all this stuff has popped up, and people could have been taking time to think about this, but instead they run around in fear, which is another distraction, because it's one extreme to the next with humans. Okay. So instead of us taking time to give thanks for what we have in our life, for us taking time, out to take some of that time that we've been given to go ahead and see that the celebrities we've been worshiping, that all of these things that we have been so distracted and caught up in all this time was basically we all vibrating on in the same realm. So it has to be something that we all have in common, something we should all be doing in common. We're not even thinking about those type of things. You see what I'm saying? So right now, people should be in deep reflection, because now you see that you cannot control everything around you at all times. So what we can do is make sure we putting out good energy, that we're taking care of everything that is around us, our families, our children, our minds, our bodies, our spirits, all of that, and everything will have to work itself out. But running around in fear right now, it's not going to help anybody. How can it? It won't. So that conclude my my tarot reading, for today. And I do like to elaborate on everything that I read or whatever, so that it can make sense. What was being seen and what was being said. So I don't know, like that's kind of just where I was at with that. That's what I wanted to talk about, is what is being seen. It's pretty cut and dry right now as far as what the global focus should be. It's really not hard. It's not complicated. It's about what people are going to take time to do or not do. So it's never, I heard somebody say a long time ago, it's never what a man can't do, is what they will or won't do. So with that being said, if we take time out to start asking questions, the universe has to answer it, because it's part of our own consciousness circling back around. So when you can form a question, if you can form it, when you have the mind to form it, the universe is going to answer. So I want to also go back into talking about, how I started this journey. And I don't know, just kind of elaborate on that, because Spirit was telling me I may need to go back to that a little bit. So what really brought me to it, if I have to, go ahead and be blunt and transparent, is when I finally accepted my path. I felt like, and it was no, I didn't have no illness or nothing like that was about to take me out, but my way of living, my mind, all of the things that I was doing was going against who I was, who I said I came here to be. And that was going to take me out. You see what I'm saying? Like, I woke up one day and I felt like I had, and I don't know, I think I was like 23, 24, I don't know, 23 maybe. And I felt like I had a whole freaking, I don't know, I felt like I was weighed down with bricks. Like I couldn't move. My feet was heavy. My body was heavy. I don't know. I knew immediately. I just got up out of the bed, and I'm young. I don't have any guidance, any of that. So nobody ever talked to me about certain types of things, but I knew to get up. And I talked to one of my cousins, and she wasn't on the spiritual path either, but she knew somebody who was studying Nuwabu. She didn't even know what it was called. She just said he was weird. She was like, well, so I got up and I was telling one of my cousins, I was like, cuz, I don't know what the hell going on. I said, but I can't even move. I feel like, I said, I need some help. And I was like, I need spiritual help. I don't need to go to no church. I don't need no counseling. I know I need some spiritual help. That's what I said. I don't know where it just came out. And so she said, well, cuz, I don't know nothing about all that, but I know this dude named so and so, he weird and shit. So I'ma just I'ma just give you his number and I'm gonna tell you how this is gonna work out with your family. If you're ever concerned about what your family is going to think about you. You see what I'm saying? We're gonna get into that real quick. So her thought was, he was weird or whatever. So he was kind of sort of an introduction to me to open up as far as esoterically. When I met this guy, that gave me something to focus on. That gave me something higher than the problems that was around me. That gave me different perspective. It pushed me into a new school of thought where I buried myself in those studies. I just started studying, and and information just started coming to me. It just started coming. I started to meditate. I started doing breathing exercises. I started doing meditations in Hebrew, actually. So I went through a lot of different schools of thoughts, so I can kind of bounce ideas off of different things and find a commonality in it. I've been able to do that, so with that being said, so I kind of was doing my meditation in Hebrew and this, that, and the other. And because I was open to that consciousness, I saw some stuff happen. Do you hear me? I saw some stuff happen. So I saw what people would say is crazy. I saw my mind's eye be activated. So that was one of the things that I got to experience on top of many other things. But that kind of catapulted me into seeing different things. I didn't even know what sun gazing was called back then. I did not. So like I said, I'm solely moving off spirit at this point with no direct guidance from humans. I'm just listening to my ancestors. I didn't even know I was listening to my ancestors. I was just listening, So I started doing what they call sun gazing. And again, I didn't know that that's what I was doing. But I would look at the sun and I stared at it. I remember riding in the car with this guy that I was telling you about, and I stared at the sun, and something just told me to close my eyes. So I closed my eyes after I looked at the sun, and I saw something. I saw, I drew it actually, but I'm going to show you what I saw. Draw it on this piece of paper. No, I'm random, y'all, but I'm just being me. That's all I can do. So I saw this. This actually was my first logo. I still got it, so don't y'all try to steal it. I saw this. Oh, hold on, wait a minute. I saw this. Had no idea what that meant. I just drew it, and I asked him about it. He took me then to a store, some kind of clothing store on like Auburn Avenue in Atlanta. And there was a shirt in there, a sweater, a hooded sweater, and it had that symbol on it. But I think it may have Malachi York facing. I don't remember. But I had never seen that before in my life. And so that was spirit telling me right then, it's like following that yellow brick road. Everything was just starting to connect. I didn't know that then, but that's what was happening. So I continued sun gazing, and I continued drawing these symbols, and I just started writing them in a notebook. So eventually I would know what it meant. I didn't know what it meant then, but lots of them, most of all of them that I drew, I know what they mean now. So at first I didn't, but now I do. So over time, everything will reveal itself. The spirit is giving you information. Don't think you're crazy. Don't deny it. Don't worry about what your family says. Any of that kind of stuff. If you don't have anywhere else to put that energy, write it down. If you're seeing anything, write it down, because somebody somewhere can help you, or spirit itself will reveal it to you. but you don't need to seek validation, because that is what will have you crazy. I would say this: if the next person has never opened up, and all they have been doing is going along to get along, how the hell can they tell you you're right or wrong? How do they know what information to give you? So now it's followers following followers, but nobody knows where they're going. So when you hear something, just like people ask me, well, how do I know what I'm hearing when I hear it? Because it's going to give me concrete proof. I have a way that my ancestors speak to me, and they paint certain pictures. I can hear it. I can see it. I cannot teach somebody how to do that. That is, like I said, it's an inborn gift. And sometimes some people may not have activated it, and they activate it over time, if that is your particular gift. And another respective way of looking at that is to understand we all have different gifts. Never envy somebody else's gift, because it comes with a burden. It comes with a load that you in particular may not be able to handle, but they can handle. And sometimes they even have to figure out how to handle it. So we never need to be looking in somebody else's direction to basically focus our own energy on. If everybody start to kind of just, hey, you know what, that's a good way for me to open up, take some advice and utilize it to open up with yourself, to hear your own thoughts, to hear the spirits around you, then things will be a lot different. Sorry, I got kind of distracted with a phone call. But basically that's what I wanted to get into. So yeah, I went through way more than what I'm saying as far as my family. Um, I was always I was treated different. I was always treated that way anyway. So it kind of made it a little bit easier for me to let go of any type of dogma, any type of things that I was taught. Even when I was young, I'm gonna be honest, and this is me speaking my own experience. Nobody should get offended by somebody else's experience. So with me, when I was young, I didn't like church. I never liked it. So people made me feel weird because of that. I would sit there and they was talking nonsense to me. It was nonsense. So it was just a lot of things that I was seeing that did not make sense to me. And once I started on my spiritual path, I was able to see quote unquote magic. You see what I'm saying? And even in my own life, when I started following my own mind, for me thinking back to even when I was young, you see what I'm saying? I remember being able to see things, dream things, and those things happening. So if I didn't have certain information, and I'm gonna share this, how do I know the ancestors are real? Well, I had certain proof, but I know from my experiences just from doing readings and things happening, people coming back to say, it may not have been right then, but it happened later, just different things. I Let me see. It's every time a phone call come in. So, basically I had this great aunt, right? And she was about to pass or whatever. We was all in the room. I was 8 years old. We was all in her sick room, or around her deathbed is what they called it. The EMTs was there. And I remember whatever going on, she was laying in their bed. She went out. Right. So the EMTs started, when they had the little block things, I don't even know if they still do that, but they started resuscitating her. Okay, so she came back. When she came back, I would never forget her saying what she saw. She said she saw Ma, which is what they call my grandma. I think, she told me, she's not me, but she told everybody in the room, all these people she saw, they had already transitioned. She said she saw them, and the place that she saw, she said it was beautiful. And she told my aunt, the aunt that she had raised, because my mom and all of them got raised in different, their mom had some issues, so they got raised in different places. So this aunt, she raised her from a baby. My aunt was holding on to our great aunt's ankles, And so she said, baby, you're holding me back. Let me go. And my auntie let her ankles go. And when I tell you, she went out with the biggest smile. She didn't feel alienated. She didn't feel lost. She said who she saw. Okay. And when my mom passed when I was young, I remember a fog being in our basement. And it was just like really, really foggy for 2 weeks. And I saw it and I mentioned it. And I remember her asking me, she said, "You see that?" I said, "Yeah, I see it." Because I thought somebody had set something on fire and it was foggy. But no, there was a gathering of the ancestors and she knew it. She knew because she didn't think nobody else could see it. She didn't tell us, how sick she was. She didn't tell us any of that. Um, but she was made aware because they made her aware. Sometimes they give you a little grace to close out things or whatever. So nobody can tell me what I know as far as what I have seen and connected those dots. And this is in real life, not me listening to somebody shout it at me what I should believe, what I should see, what I'm supposed to hear, what is right, what is wrong. I'm telling you what I've seen with my own two eyes, what I've experienced, what I know, what I've lived through. Okay, so I've been blessed enough to go through different experiences to allow me to know my authentic, how authentic I am and who I say I am. So there's never a question with me on my faith, because that's all I had at one point. And everything worked out just as spirit told me it would. I've had strangers to come up to me and I knew that they didn't know me. You see what I'm saying? I knew that they didn't know me and they told me things that nobody else could know. Those was my ancestors communicating with me at a time where nobody knew what to do with me on earth. You see what I'm saying? But those spirits were keeping their eyes on me and they was always communicating. And I look back at that and I said, I have everything out of all my hardships. I had everything to be thankful for, even through all of that, because I was never truly abandoned, because I always had divine spirits protecting me. I mean, how bigger can it get? You see what I'm saying? That's powerful. So that means that even people on earth can only do so much to you. You see what I'm saying? Because I've always been divinely protected. And so people will see that in some people and they do get jealous because they see them born, but you have no idea what I had to go through. And you have no idea what the next person has to go through for us to obtain those gifts. Because to even be able to help other people, you have had to go through something. You have to have some type of relative idea as far as how to even help these people. You have to have experienced something. And don't ask for experiences that you don't know if you can handle them or not. This is bestowed on people. We don't just jump up and go run and get it. The people who run and get it often find that they get what they weren't looking for. We weren't looking for this. We were called to this, and I speak for me and people like me, you know. And with that being said, I think that's all I have to say today. I appreciate whoever listens and just know that this is just the beginning. I'm going to be here for a while. Um, and so, this is just the beginning of what's to come. And I hope that y'all, enjoy it. Hope that you like it. I hope that I could say something that sparked something. And that's it. What will it be about Monday? That I don't know actually. So it's probably gonna be a surprise. Because I kind of let spirit lead me on that. I do try to write down topics and things like that, but the energy could change. So Monday I'm going to do my readings. That's my regular day for me to do my tarot readings. Thursday is when I plan to do the frequently asked questions or questions that people may have about spirituality or anything that I could personally possibly answer. Because I don't know everything, nobody does, but what I can answer, what spirit allows me to answer, I would do that. And I want to do those on Thursday, but Monday we're probably going to do another reading, and then I'm going to elaborate on whatever energies comes out in that reading. But I always pull right before the session, so I won't know until Monday. And yeah, I think that's it. Unless within the next 5 minutes of this show, unless something comes to me, I think that's all. Oh, so where can we find? Okay. Oh, good question. Oh goodness. Yes. So okay. So my information is, and it's gonna be in the description box, or the links will be posted as well. So to book a reading with me, you can go to Hood Rituals and Beauty LLC. I'm sorry, Hood Rituals and Beauty LLC .glossgenius.com, and it's in my Instagram at Oshun _ nail doing priestess _ and you can go to my Instagram and book directly in that link, and it'll take you to book your session with me for a reading, whether you want tarot readings or you want me to do my session, which I have to label, but it's going to be called the Talking Bones, because I also read bones, and I do them through different traditional styles as well as my own ancestral style. And I also do tarot readings. So like I said, all of that information will be listed for you to choose on my website, as well as nail services. But again, I'm only doing nails Friday and Saturday. Those are the days for my beauty services. And any day you can order custom spiritual products that'll be listed, and I'm uploading things to the site as we speak, because I do all of that myself. So I'm still uploading certain things, but there are some things on my site right now, which is Hood Rituals and Beauty.biz. Hood Rituals and Beauty LLC. I'm sorry, that's always going to be at the end. .biz. So you'll be able to purchase products there. You'll be able to purchase them in store. The address is also listed on my Instagram. You'll be able to find updated information on my Instagram and on my website. Yep. And you can also call me. You can also call or text to book a reading, and I do require a deposit for any services that I'm going to render. There is a deposit required. So y'all get at me through Instagram, through text message. All my information is public as far as that. I'm not hiding from anybody. Just give me a shout and I'll see what I can do. Thank you. Let's see.
Yeah. Now we gonna tell them. That in front. We tell them like this, yo. I'm an African. I'm a African. I'm a African. I'm a African. Yeah, y'all like that? No more. This man's mind is open. I'm an African. I'm a African. I'm a African. I'm a. Let's get
and
back
that
to
motive
the
is best developed by recognizing the common enemy.